I will save you years of time of trying to figure out what works for you by asking you a few simple questions. My name is Marcelle Hansen, and you're listening to Small Habits, Big Changes. Let's dive in. A number of episodes I touched on your vehicle as a metaphor to your body and self-care, how we maybe check the fluids in either our radiator, in our oil reservoir, in our brake fluid reservoir. And maybe you don't do that personally, but you go in and have somebody do it. On that same vein, you need to be making sure you're well lubricated, as in you're drinking enough water, you're staying hydrated, you're checking what's going on under the hood on a regular basis. Now, for our car, that might be every 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. We need to do it a little more often, like daily, maybe even hourly, but definitely daily. And for those of you just getting started, shoot for weekly or have a monthly check-in. But don't let a whole year go by where you're not checking in with what's going on for you, because it's that much harder to course correct. You can make tiny course corrections, little, simple, small little habits you can instill over time. They pay massive dividends. So checking in more regularly than you do your car is great. But continuing on the car analogy, when you bring in your car, oftentimes they want to rotate the tires, especially if it's new. They want to make sure that the tires are being worn evenly. That's more for alignment. We want to align ourselves as well. On a regular basis, we want to be checking to make sure that we are going in the right direction, that we don't have a tug in our alignment that's pulling us towards a certain direction, whether it be left or right. The reason being is, if you've ever driven a car that's slightly out of alignment, over time, it's just exhausting. It's either wearing on, it's very subtle, but it wears on the muscles that you're constantly pulling on. It's kind of a constant management to keep it in between the lanes and between the lines. You want to check your alignment frequently to make sure you're going in the right direction as efficiently as possible, same way you would for your car. Sticking on that car analogy, think of how many years we had petrol only, like internal combustible engines. So gas run, right? Yeah, for years there's been people sneaking around with like biofuel and running it off of vegetable oil and stuff like that. But for the most part, we've used gasoline, refined crude oil, to run our vehicles. Now, in the last 10 years or so, there's been a huge influx in electric vehicles, whether they be fully electric, like a Tesla, or whether or not they're like a hybrid, like a Prius. These are vehicles you see all the time in every metropolitan city, in the suburbs, even out in the country. Folks have hybrids. So not as much, but they have them. My point being is to bring awareness to the fact that these are two separate operating systems, and sometimes they work in tandem like a hybrid. So like a hybrid, we have two operating systems, two fuel systems that our body needs to use to run efficiently and has available for everyone to use. And yet in today's society, because food is so abundant and things that look like food but are actually toxins wrapped in food disguises, we typically run off of our main glucose sugar burning mode. We also have at our disposal and readily available a fat burning mode. Now, similar to gas and electric, our sugar burning and fat burning modes, they can complement each other, and we really should be able to metabolically switch between the two with very little effort. If you want to think of it this way, the sugar burning mode is the mode we're in when we are consuming food. The fat burning mode is the mode that we go into when we are not consuming food. So this is where time restricted eating, or, having a tighter window of consumption, and then technically intermittent fasting through the night, which is when you're supposed to anyway. Your body naturally needs that time. Adhering to both of these and being able to metabolically switch is a superpower. In today's day and age, we have become grazers and eaters. We're eating 4, 5, 6 meals a day. Some people, whether it's shakes or traditional food or snacks, fruit included. If you are eating 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day, every time you're eating, you are going up and down that glucose wave, if you will. Now, that's fine. For some people, they are metabolically managing. Their insulin is still working well. Maybe the food they're eating is very clean. Don't be confused that because one way of being works for someone, that it can work for you. That is just not the case in probably 75-80% of what goes on. So-and-so may be doing a diet that's working great for them, doesn't work for you. So-and-so takes a certain supplement that seems to be helping them, doesn't work for you. So-and-so thinks a certain way, it's gotten them to somewhere. It may not work for you. You have to discover what works for you. And that's the point of the podcast, is sharing information with you about reiterating your uniqueness and your ability to stay curious and find what works for you. Now, that said, if you want more information about how this sugar burning versus fat burning system works, then feel free to shoot a text or check out the website and sign up for our digital newsletter. It's easiest to text the word yes to area code 206-483-2960. Again, 206-483-2960. If you can text without a charge in the United States, then that texting community is free to you. No charge associated with it whatsoever. Feel free to text the word yes, ask for references. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. I will save you years of time of trying to figure out what works for you by asking you a few simple questions, and then I'll point you in the direction that I think will get you there much faster. After 30 years of being on this path, I have turned over a lot of stones. I have studied from a lot of different experts. I have utilized a lot of different methods, and I have tracked my own biometrics for 20 plus years. And now, with the help of a couple wearables, I track them even further. I'm not saying that you need to do any of that, yet there are certain things that you can do to prime yourself for a better tomorrow, for a better next week, for a healthier next week, for a healthier next year, next decade, to 100 and beyond, healthy, vibrant, whatever you choose to do. I'd love to help you get there and reach your goals. If you found any inspiration or any insight into this brief episode, please feel free to share it with a friend. You can leave a comment down below if that's available, if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're just listening to the podcast, know that there is a video option available where you can comment. But texting into the wellness community is the best way to get a hold of me. I do respond to these inquiries and shares personally on a time availability basis, but I'm pretty quick turnaround. So I want you to know that while we have been running off of petrol for years and years and years, and that is what most of us know as our operating system, there is a secondary system, and that secondary system that generations before, they naturally engaged both of these systems through the experience of feast or famine. We have neglected this secondary system, which is actually our reboot. It restarts our immune system. It re-engages our gut microbiome. It does so many things. I couldn't even begin to list them off. But in this stage of fat burning, there's so much goodness going on in your body, so many cell regenerations, getting rid of zombie cells, senescent cells. Honestly, we need to be flexible enough in our metabolic management to go back and forth between these two systems to give our body time to replenish, to rejuvenate. It's not just enough to sleep. It's very important to sleep consistently and have high quality sleep each and every night. Be very consistent with that. That does help, but not snacking in those evening hours and maybe bumping your breakfast out an hour or two, giving the body its natural 12 plus hours where there is no consumption except other than water. And even then, relatively little water because you're sleeping. It's after dinner, you're going to bed, you're sleeping, you're getting up. That's when you can have your water, when you start your hydration for the next day. Otherwise, we're trying to limit those snacks so we can get out of that glucose riding, sugar burning roller coaster and engage in our very natural state of creating ketones in the liver, utilizing that energy source, which is far more plentiful actually in many respects, both both in capacity and qualitatively and quantitatively. We want to be able to engage in both of these burning systems so we can operate at our highest level and regenerate these cells that we are doing damage to by what we're breathing, what we're consuming, who we're around. And this includes like all the toxins we're ingesting, but also the perfumes, the lotions, the deodorants, the fragrances that are around us. Years and years ago, I had a housemate who was using Febreze, and I was like, I ended up moving actually, because I was like, I could not stand that. Like this stuff, these are really impacting us in a very toxic way. And to look at your surroundings and to really do a little audit, a little safety audit, a little toxin audit, you want to set yourself up for the most success and the most efficient use of your time here on the planet, whether it be 80 years, 100 years of vital health, 150 for me, and however long you want to live and however well you want to live, it's at your disposal right now, whether you're 20 or whether you're already 80. You can employ new habits. You can create new rituals that support you. You have ample opportunity to reach out both online and in person and build community. If you need any help, ideas, or support, please do send us a text. And I look forward to connecting with each of you. If you have any content or any ideas that you'd like me to share my take on, feel free to shoot those over through the wellness community texting line as well. Again, that number is 206-483-2960. And until next time, be well, be aware, be curious, and be awesome. Thank you so much for listening today. If you feel any part of this episode resonated with you, then please consider sharing it with a friend who may also find value in it. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And before you go, did you know we have a fantastic free text community? If you want more bite-sized health hacks and reminders delivered directly to your phone, absolutely free, then text keyword YES to 206-483-2960. Again, that's keyword YES to 206-483-2960. And we'll see you on the inside.